Rejection sensitive dysphoria, or as I like to call it, really shit daydreams. You can have that. You can have that, because actually, a lot of the time, that's exactly what it is. When you are sitting there going, I can't believe they wrote that in that text message. And then you either react, I would always react to things. Why haven't you called me back? Why didn't you want to come to my birthday party? Why do you hate me? Without that kiss at the end of the message. Why? All of this shit. Whatever neurotype you are, nobody likes to be rejected. If it's a job or a partner or whatever. But rejection sensitive dysphoria is different. Because it's about not just our, I almost said overreaction. Did not mean that. It's not just to do with our perhaps extreme reaction to feelings of rejection. It's about feeling that with the perception that we might be rejected and going all the way down the road with that narrative of something that hasn't and potentially might never happen. And that is RSD. And sometimes we can feel it physically in our body, like a stab, like a wound, but that doesn't make it any more real. So next time the RSD is blaring, ask yourself, is this real, or is it just a really shit daydream?
Hi, I'm Laura and I am ADHDAF. What you just heard was a tiny snippet about rejection sensitive dysphoria from a talk I gave at Sisterland Festival in Bristol last year. I am very, very excited to be part of Sisterland actual festival in an actual field in Somerset happening this summer. But I will come back to that in another episode because I've got a lot crammed into this one. Now, I'm sure you've noticed this behind me. My house isn't always like this, but I had a very special party this week to celebrate the birthday of the treasurer of ADHDAF Plus charity. So this podcast led to an online Patreon peer support community, and through that community and the 3 live tours, I was inspired to found ADHDAF Plus charity. And this charity has monthly in-person peer support groups, and in March we have 10 in Scotland, England and Wales. So before we dive in to the very meaty topic of rejection sensitive dysphoria, I would like to invite you to attend a free RSD support group in your local area. And if we haven't started one in your local area yet, you can apply to volunteer to start your own. So first of all, starting on Tuesday the 3rd of March, we've got one in Birmingham and one in Ayr in Scotland. We've got one in London and a brand new group in Chester and the Bristol group, all on Thursday the 5th of March. Then we've got our Wrexham, Manchester and Oxford groups, all on Wednesday the 11th of March. And on Thursday the 12th of March, our Edinburgh group returns at last alongside Blackpool. So for this month, we're very excited to have Chester brand new and Edinburgh back with brand new facilitators and a brand new venue. So that is 10 groups in Scotland, England and Wales to connect and empower ADHD adults of marginalised genders. And this time we're talking RSD. If you would like to find out more information about your local group, apply to volunteer to start your own, make a donation or volunteer to help us in any way, believe we would be very grateful for any support you can give us. In this episode, there will be swearing. You might see some bottles of alcohol in the background. As I said, some of this is recorded at a very special party, and we may cover some triggering topics. Please have a read of the description of this episode, which is in the show notes, where you will also find a link for resources for support. If you are struggling, you are not alone. So rejection sensitive dysphoria, or RSD, is intense emotional pain triggered by either real or perceived that very important word, rejection, criticism, or failure. And though it isn't currently a formal diagnostic term, RSD is commonly discussed in ADHD communities like us and by clinicians to describe a pattern of emotional sensitivity linked to ADHD-related differences in emotional regulation. Our reactions can be rapid, intense, and are often considered disproportionate, in inverted commas, to the situation. Alongside deep emotional feelings of shame and hurt, for some of us, unfortunately myself included, RSD can also cause physical pain. RSD is not a separate diagnosis or in diagnostic manuals, but it is widely recognised as a common emotional experience among many ADHD adults. So if you experience RSD, you are not alone. The many contributors of this episode, and basically pretty much almost every single person I've ever spoken to who has ADHD over the last coming up for 4 years experiences it too. You really are not alone, but I am sorry. Lo siento. I feel the pain. I have talked about RSD a great deal on the podcast, and in particular in 2 mini tidbit episodes. Who remembers the tidbit series? I wish I could carry those on. If only I had more pairs of hands. Tidbits will be back one day, I promise you. So the tidbit series were little micro mini episodes around about 10 minutes where I would have someone come on to explain and give some information very quickly as good takeaways on a particular topic. And I actually did 2 on RSD. So one is called RSD Warriors, Not Warriors, with Rach Adulting ADHD Idowu, and Find the Win When Battling RSD, and that is with Dr. Alex Connor of ADHD Adult UK and of course the ADHD Adults podcast. So what I'm going to do is put a link in the show notes to a little playlist with both of those episodes on, possibly a couple more. So they will all be in there in the show notes to really dive in and pick it apart a little bit more, because today I've got something a little bit different and very special for you. As I said, I had some absolute legends from the leopard print army of listeners of this podcast who have grown alongside me and become part of ADHDAF Plus charity. And we all got together quarterly to go to this incredible event called Heartbreakers, which is run by my very old friend who I used to trade with in Festival Fields, Twinks Burnett, and her incredible friend Alex, also known as Alpha Gal, the DJ. They have created this incredibly inclusive space and it's right up our street. We are absolutely joining forces, and I will talk about that more and definitely have those legends on the podcast at some point very soon. So it felt incredibly important whilst we were all together, with it being Women's History Month and with International Women's Day just around the corner, to come together and celebrate ADHDAF Plus, because it is a charity that is built, led and run by women. And some of those women were in this ridiculous pink palace that I've created, and I'm very reluctant to take down any of the decorations off, with me to celebrate our treasurer's birthday, Kim. So I'm going to hand over to a few of those legends to talk to you about how they experience RSD. Because much like ADHD, RSD can present in lots of different ways and cause us different struggles. So I really wanted to know the main way that RSD showed up for them and anything that they find helpful with it, which is something that will be discussed in all of the ADHDAF Plus support groups of March. So before I hand you over to some of the core team behind ADHDAF Plus charity, including Kim, Kate, Ruth, Kirsty, MJ, and the legendary Lou in Luland, who is doing a very special event for International Women's Day in Frome. If you're in that neck of the woods, I'm going to put a link all about that. They are linking up with the White Ribbon campaign to end violence against women. Do check that out. But before I hand over to all of those legends and a few more making cameos, I would like to introduce you to the most sensitive droid in the galaxy. If you came to see my third tour, Alien Nation, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you don't, you can watch Alien Nation as a live recording via the link in show notes, and it is a charity fundraiser digital download. So if you purchase a copy to watch, you will be donating to help fund our free in-person monthly peer support groups. But without further ado, I give you RSD2.
RSD2. This is Sheep P3O. So it's really unfortunate because she's got some kind of problem with her short circuit, keeps overheating. Basically, she's burnt out, bless her. So I'm just waiting for the mechanic to come, and it's really difficult when you're on your own. You know, I'm kind of just like alone with my thoughts, and it gets a bit much. So yeah, I'm really, really glad that you're here to talk to.
That sounded so desperate and pathetic, they probably all think I'm a twat.
Sorry, I went a bit dark side there. Does anybody know what RSD is?
Of course they know what it means. That was so patronising, as if my squeaky little bimbo voice wasn't enough to make them think I'm a dickhead already. Then talking like that's definitely done the job.
So just in case anybody doesn't know about this abhorrent affliction that plagues every waking moment of my life, RSD stands for Rejection Sensitive Dysphoria.
State the fucking obvious, airhead. They all look so bored. They're having a horrible time.
Do any of you experience RSD? Oh, you do?
Hi, I'm Ruth. I am the facilitator of the London support group. Times when the really shit daydreams get me, or one of the times, is at work when I get a message from anybody, whether it's my boss or my colleague, and they say, can we just have a quick chat? And then I go into a tailspin about what have I done wrong, I'm going to be sacked, I'm about to lose my job. It happens a lot. One of my hacks is, it's not really a hack, but just having people that I can talk to that get it, have a conversation, and then they're like, is that really true? Is there anything problem? No, it's fine. My group is at the Almora Community Centre on the first Thursday of every month, 6:30 till 8:30.
Hiya, I'm Gill. Quite often I will have RSD in WhatsApp messages. I spend a lot of time in WhatsApp groups, sending messages to people. And the example that I want to give today is from just this morning. I was in a really, really busy WhatsApp group that sort of kicked off at 6:30 this morning. Lots of amazing women, really excited about something. And at exactly 7:16, I sent a meme to the group. And at 7:16, somebody else commented. But because nobody else did for 7 minutes, in that time, I decided that every one of them hated me, that they'd set up a separate WhatsApp group, that they were calling me all sorts of names, even though I knew that actually they were all off getting ready. Then somebody commented and everything was all right again. But the amount of stuff that goes through my head and the actual physical pain that I feel and the feelings around RSD, absolutely intense. So that's my today example. There have been many more. I can't combat it. There's no way that you can ever stop doing it. But what I do have now is the words to describe it, which is really, really powerful. So all the years that I spent tying myself in knots and maybe discommunicating myself from people and having social situations that were awkward and I stepped out of, and I didn't know that I had ADHD, let alone that I was experiencing RSD. I struggled to come to terms with that. But now I know what it is, so I can name it. I can share it with the community of people that I found through the ADHDAF Plus charity. And I can name it, and that just helps, and it means I can explain it to people as well. I run the Manchester Peer Support Group, which is on the second Wednesday of every month at Friends Meeting House. It's fantastic, it's in the city centre, it's from 7 till 9. You can just turn up, and we're a really fantastic group.
I'm Kim, treasurer for the ADHDAF charity. AF Plus charity. Woohoo! So my RSD comes about when I was training to do a marathon. We'd have long runs, just two of us, and I go home and I used to call it paranoia. I was like, oh my god, I'm so paranoid about these conversations. She hates me. This one thing I said what I thought was funny, she hates it, she's gone home. And I'd message this girl and I'd say, I'm really sorry about my behaviour. And she'd be absolutely none the wiser, but I've had it all my life and it occurs in so many different ways. it just comes up. I play conversations over and over in my head all the time. All this week there've been a whole raft of them, but that main one is with my lovely friend who I really thought I pissed off every week. I think she used to say, "Don't be so silly, I hadn't even realised that you'd said these things." And the more she used to say it, the more I used to think, she must have known it. But since discovering the ADHD, I realised that actually half the things that I say I worry about, nobody's even realised that I've said them. So
Truly, really shit daydreams.
Just really, really shit daydreams. And you have to just keep telling yourself, nobody else is thinking about this like you are.
I'm Kirsty. RSD for me, it's so ingrained in me that it's affected everything about me. I remember my mum always said, "Oh, you have such a thin skin, you're so sensitive, you take everything so personally, it's so difficult to say anything to you." And it got to the point where I felt so constantly terrified that of being told I was wrong or bad or you know, doing the wrong thing, that I stopped taking any kind of risk, stopped putting myself out there, stopped not making an effort, that's the wrong way of putting it, but doing anything that I thought might leave me open to any kind of negative feedback, because I just couldn't bear to have anything negative sort of thrown at me. And I think and that is something that has improved certainly since I understood that I had ADHD. And honestly, it's almost like exposure therapy. It's the same as with anxiety, and actually for me RSD is tied in a big way with anxiety. Something I learned with anxiety is that I have to put myself in, when I start feeling anxious for you know, hormones, or because I'm going through a stressful time, or haven't been sleeping well, or for whatever reasons, the best way to deal with it and stop it getting out of hand is not to give in to the anxiety, to actively challenge it. This is making me feel anxious. Oh God, I don't know if I want to go to this thing. Right, I'll go to it. And not only will I go to it, I will go to it on my own. Do things that make me feel afraid, because actually what is going to happen? What's the worst case scenario? I might go and have an awful night. So?
Yeah.
So what? It actually doesn't matter that much. And you know, that's actually never happened. I have a brilliant time, and then I've smashed that anxiety and smashed that RSD down just a little bit more each time. It sounds terrifying, but it's worth taking the risk, and just keep pushing yourself, I suppose, and don't listen to that voice. Don't listen to that voice, because it's a lie. It's your brain trying to keep you safe at the end of the day, but it doesn't. It actually just makes it worse. It's building a cage. My group is the Oxford group. We meet at Headington Quarry Village Hall on the second Wednesday of the month from 7 till 9 o'clock in the evening.
My name's Kate. I'm the Bristol facilitator and also the support group coordinator. For me, RSD is just ingrained in my whole being, and it's almost the first reaction that I feel to pretty much everything. It's preempting that reaction. Before knowing about it, I tried to combat it through people pleasing, to stay safe, for damage limitation really. I wouldn't want to seem difficult or disruptive or anything like that, but I can feel very, very defensive. I have a big thank you to you, because actually it was listening to the podcast which actually made me learn about RSD and know it was a thing, and not just me being oversensitive or not being able to cope with the world. Learning about RSD has helped me to recognise patterns in both myself and also other people, so it's actually helped me to be more compassionate to other people's reactions, but also to my own, which I think that helps to diffuse certain scenarios and situations from escalating. I also think if you find the right people that make you feel really safe and understood,
these people.
Like these people. Here's some I prepared earlier. If you have safe people around you that understand you and love you for who you are, you can also bounce the RSD, the really shitty daydreams, off them. Sometimes when we verbal process as well, that can help us to realise that some of the things in our head that is just spiralling isn't actually necessarily what it is or factual. So I think if you've got good people around you to use as a sounding board, which often then it helps diffuse it anyway, and also just understanding that it is a legit struggle for people often, with our brain types. Bristol support group is the first Thursday of the month. Everybody's welcome, no diagnosis needed. It is at the Tobacco Factory in Bedminster, and it's a really, really safe space, completely non-judgmental, and it's really, really empowering. And I never regret doing a session, no matter how much the RSD try and stop me in its tracks. I never regret it. So yes, please come along.
I'm MJ and I'm the support group facilitator for ADHDAF Plus charity in Wrexham. I am in the most loving, wonderful marriage with the most incredible person who makes me feel loved and adored constantly. I will have about 10 thoughts a day though that I think, oh my god, he hates me, he's gonna leave me. And it'll be over absolutely nothing. Like he's just, I don't know, been on the phone and I've not realised, and he's come down, grabbed a drink and gone back upstairs, and I'm like, oh my god. But it's not real, which is what really helped me when we were at Camp VC and you talked about really shitty daydreams, which my children know as really silly daydreams. Because I got feedback from, the school did that.
So when can people go to your group?
Second Wednesday of every month. So the one coming up is on the 11th of March and it is at the Quaker Meeting House in Wrexham, and it is just round the corner from Asda, and it's lovely. Really nice group, and it'll be our second one. It's fun.
Amazing.
I'm Lou from Lou and Lou Land.
You're actually Lou and Laura Land because you're at my house.
This is true. I am in ADHDAF world.
So what would you say to anybody else about RSD to try and stop?
Read about it. Send them memes that you see on Instagram. If it resonates with how you feel, send them a meme. And maybe they'll think that's funny, but just keep going and find your way of explaining to them what it is that you need or what's happening in your brain. I'm like, I need you to understand. Communication is key here, people.
It is.
And knowing yourself.
Is there anything that you would like to tell the listeners to check out or anything, or are we not there?
No, I don't know. Talk to yourself. Talk it
about
out loud.
You.
Oh, about me?
Yeah.
Oh, well. I am about to take off around the country in my 32 vintage self-love bus. Providing I get some funding and pass my HGV.
Details.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
Details.
Small details. So come find me. I am doing all sorts of wild things. I am all over the place.
My name is Laura and I am ADHDAF. RSD is my greatest nemesis. That's why I tried to disempower it by calling it really shit daydreams. I've got a really good example of RSD. So I did a tour called Alien Nation a couple of years ago where I made a made-up character called RSD2, slightly Star Wars inspired, in which I had my internal negative monologue shouting things at me, the dark side in my head telling me all this stuff, which obviously I hope wasn't true. And the kind of crescendo of that ridiculous skit was that I read a review of the podcast, a negative review. It's like a double meaning because it was completely oblivious to me at the time how utterly ridiculous it was to make an entire tour out of one bad review when I had, I don't know, like 2,000 good ones on Spotify alone. All it takes is somebody to say something bad at you and your RSD will go, look, they found you out.
Yeah.
You are shit. All the things that you think about yourself, they're true and they have found you out and it's there for the world to see. But yeah, totally ridiculous. But it's just really shit daydreams. The thing about peer support is when you can actually actively recognise it in other people is when it starts to become more available to you, because you remember you're watching somebody go, that's ridiculous, how could they possibly think that? And then you're like, oh no, I do that. And so in those situations you can start to think. And I would like to say happy birthday to our treasurer, Kim Pierpoint. The treasurer that we treasure. And I'm really grateful to you all for being here and for being part of the Chazza. And Steph, who's going to be doing the big ADHD fundraiser very soon. I'll put a link to find out more about that. And what else do I have to say? We're off to Heartbreakers. And